and simple. It's just after talking about all this, now what is our role as advisors? And where do we take all of this information? What do we do with it? So like Christina said, with the ODRs, you're going to get, she's going to scan that into the computer for the Swiss stuff. And advisors are going to get sent a copy, or it's going to be put in your mailbox, one of the two. And you'll have that for your records. Along with the bullying reflection activity, you'll get a copy of that as well. And I know lower school keeps kind of a binder for the advisees.
So the lower school, when we're doing our conferences and we're getting our child portfolio, we actually have them, unless, even the 4th and 5th graders, even though we give them back to artifacts and they do their own, we usually have either a file for our children or binders for them. So you can keep this child's reflection sheets, their anti-bullying form that they filled out, you can keep it in their file. So it's something good to have for you. It can also be part of their student-led conference. So say the incident happened in the 1st quint, and here we are, we're going to the 3rd quint with the conference. You can actually use that to show the students' progress, how they worked on getting better at, we would say, showing empathy, being nice to our friends. So you can keep on, so you should hold on to the ODRs and any bullying forms that has been reported to you that you have for your advisees. And it's also our job to make sure that we're calling home to the parents when we do get those, when those forms do come to us. So when they're scanned and when they come to us as advisors, we have to make sure we're communicating to our parents that this is what happened to your child. And then also, because, you know, a lot of times advisors won't know to the end of the day, you know, or we had one incident where something happened to the child and the advisor just told the mom, oh, that so-and-so is having a good day. And it was like, oh, by the way, he got written up. So it's our job to make sure we keep an open communication the minute we get those scanned forms.
And it's also, because it's going to be coming from Christina through email, it's also easy for us to get to upper school kids to put on a PowerPoint, because it's something that's already electronic. So it's something that they can include in their student-led conference as well, to kind of show growth or improvement throughout the year. And we also are going to be sending, is it electronically?
It's going to be electronic, but you have it in the packet.
Your packet has a parent letter that's going home to parents. It's going to be electronic to make sure that all parents get it, but it kind of explains the whole bullying process and the reporting process and where they can find all the information. And when you guys make phone calls and you're talking home, it's something you want to make sure you're talking to parents about, letting them know that, where the resources are. And it's all, there's a link on the Cprep website. It's under news and information. It says anti-bullying, and it goes through kind of the law itself, and then where you can find the forms and what forms the students are actually filling out with us when they do their reflection.
So it's good to have an email of all your parents, and the parents who don't, because we do understand that not everyone has access to email, so your parents who don't have email, the hard copies are available. So when you're talking to them, if they can't get it through the email, then you come to, it's in their packet, but you know, things happen. So you can always find one of the core members to actually get the hard copy and give to your parents that don't have access to their emails.
And I am going to also give it to parents when they come in for student-led conferences, just to have another copy. It might be something you want to do as well, just have a few on hand in case parents come in.
That's about it. Ms. Garfield is going to be translating it into Spanish for dual language families. So she's going to be translating it into Spanish. That's really good. So, any questions about advisors room?
So we really need everybody's help in making sure that this, we probably were supposed to send this letter a long time ago, but like we said, we've been trying to just get everything correct before we put it out there. We really need your help making sure that parents get this letter, that they see it, but also helping them to understand what's in it, and also to help your advisees understand. The definition of bullying is in here, so that's something we need to, on a regular basis, be bringing up in advisory. And students need to know that they have the ability to make a report, and that's listed in here where they can go to make that report, okay, and submit it. They have to, parents and students, when they want to report an incident, have to complete these certain state forms. So we're going to link to the forms forms electronically, so parents can submit them electronically to an administrator, to Mr. Fulton, and then he'll get it to Ms. Ferguson if need be. Or we've listed in here where these forms will be located in the main office, that they can complete one and leave it with Mrs. King and submit it to the appropriate person. It's just really important that any alleged incidents, whether they end up getting verified or not, get documented on these specific state forms. It's part of the new law. We haven't been 100% in compliance yet, so we really need to make sure that our process is tight with that. So we need help not only getting this letter out to parents, but also helping them to understand what's in it and helping the kids to understand what's in it.
Okay, and in talking with your advisees, it's really important that they also know how serious it is, because, you know, for two different reasons. They can take it as a joke. Like I had a middle schooler call me a bully and say she's gonna report me to Core. So like they can take it as a joke, but they need to understand how important it is, because on the same token, I knew of a girl who was generally paid bullied and didn't say anything. Then we found out later on from her parents, and that's just not the situation that any of us want to be in. And I actually had a parent, you know, say to me everything she knew about safe school climate. So there are some that do know. So it's important that we do communicate that with our parents. So as that would say, CYA, and we know what's going on with our advisees and our families.
I have a suggestion. For uniform infractions, we sent, Mr. Henderson and I, we sent the infraction form home to each advisee. The parent and the kid and the advisor all signed it saying, you know, this is what's going to happen. So maybe for the entire school, this letter, if you send it electronically, they have to return it back signed, so the parents don't say, well, I didn't know that. And also it makes them responsible to be, they're informed, the knowledge is there. They take responsibility for incorporating that into their home life, and the students are aware. Because I find when I'm dealing with a parent, well, I didn't know that. Well, and I thought, well, you signed this. So it will alleviate a lot of, I don't know, I didn't know. Just cut to the chase, and I think it will enable us to be more effective.
So when we're calling home, or when we send it out when it's finally ready, we can have the advisors, have the parents email it back and send it with their child.
I have one more thing too as a role of an advisor. We're going to have a few more, I think, right? Meetings and not meetings, lessons. We're going to have a few more throughout the year, and as an advisor, you want to make sure that those are getting done and they're being successful. And also for us, if you guys have any ideas of how those lessons can be improved, more effective, any of those things, also let us know that information so that when we continue to do it in the next one, we can kind of make those changes and make them more effective.
Ms. Garfield and I handle the education piece for it, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to email either Ms. Garfield or myself.
I know that there are some activities on, what is it, Google Doc for children, lower school, on how to recognize bullying and, you know, how to, you know, just talk to children about bullying. I know I wrote a lesson plan myself and submitted it, so there are some things there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
All right, any questions about anything we talked about today? Yes.
I noticed something. We don't break things up for our commission. It's just like, I mean, is it always like this?
Right, if it's repetitive or you've asked and they're not doing it, because that can be really truly be labeled as insubordination.
Oh,
if
I was
they're-
thinking
if they're
like she
choosing.
didn't have her leave that day. Yeah, they put her like that day. I don't know if she did that.
Yeah, you can still write them up, you know, it's something to write up, and we need to keep doing that. It's not something that, you know, might have, it goes bulk. You know, you can call home, and parents can come bring their stuff like we always do.
It used to be an offense when the kid was sent home. I mean, if you're not capital prep all day, capital prep all day. If you're not in uniform, you're not here. I mean, that's what we used to do, and that's kind of, we've gotten away with it the last few years of that. So, like, not even writing it up, something's wrong, because kids weren't even allowed in the building with that.
Right, yeah, do you wanna comment on that? Cause I'm not really, I don't.
All right, I'm not gonna pay attention. What was the question? No, I heard that. You know, I think that over time, when we first started, we were 120 kids or 100, and whatever we started, I think it was a lot easier to send students home, and we had different number of clientele, which were a lot more closely just in the district. Now I think that it's hard as an administrator that I have a kid who lives in Tallinn, for instance, who's out. It's not as easy for me to call that parent, have them come and get picked up. So I do think we're probably more now, harder than we ever did to try to resolve those issues. I think we should write them up all the time. See a kid in the hallway, write it up. Give it, and then let myself, Mr. Fulton, and Ms. Ferguson track the kid down. Do you have a belt now? Fine. If you did, now you have a lunch tank. If you still don't have a belt, let's figure out, let's call the parents, how many times have you been written up, how often do you not have a belt? And then that allows us to do some other things. But I don't think we can have the same initial reaction for correction that we had in the past. Some other people are going to work their way up that. They come in without a belt, we don't work them. We say, you just sit right here, you sit in the office all day long, fine, nobody's coming to get you, I understand that. That's what happened to the student the other day. There's an incident that the kid needed to be sent home. Parents couldn't come and get him for whatever reason. One was picking up another sick child at Britain High. Dad works at Windsor, he works second shift, and he just got to work, couldn't come and get him. So he sits with me, and then I sent him home for a couple of days. So I don't know if that answers the question. And I do think that things evolve. The policy that we had initially, looks good then, but now I don't know that it necessarily has the same function.
And the other thing is, if it goes in really young, it's going to get entered in Swiss, right? I mean, so for a uniform infraction, we entered in a behavioral. That's hard. I mean, it's like, and of course, they aren't behaving because they're.
It's a category on there.
There's a
Yeah, it's a category.
Okay. So that works.
Spouses, did you have a question?
Yeah, because like in the younger grades, the kids will come in and they don't have on a belt or they don't have on their shoes, and they're like, oh, well, my mom said this or my mom said that. I don't have it because my mom, I don't know when to fill it out. Like, when is it their fault, and should I fill out a form every time, even if it's not something that, they have control over? Like, if it's every single day, they don't have it, and we're calling the parents, your child doesn't have this, and they're like, well, he's a child, he shouldn't be punished, it's not his fault, it's my fault, that kind of thing. Is it? Yeah, but even those are sent out, and every day there are kids who have their wrong earrings on, or they don't have a belt, or they have regular sneakers on, or they that kind of
I think
stuff.
that's a really good question, and I don't want to, but I would just say Ms. Ferguson and Ms. Ruddock probably need to be the ones to answer it.
Okay.
It's probably something that we need to have a longer conversation about as a school about, is the uniform really bad, and I don't know, maybe Swiss will show us that or not, and how can we better address it, and things might have to, like Mr. Gansey said, things might have to change, so.
I just have another question. I guess I'm a little bit confused just about, so I understand that if I call the security to my room and I give them this and they go down, then obviously that's taken care of by the administration. But there seems to me to be kind of like a limbo here between something that needs to be taken care of that day by an administrator, which doesn't require me to kick them out of class, because kicking them out of class, we're not supposed to do that if at all possible. We need to keep their education going. So something that's immediate, like this needs to be handled today, versus something, this is just data being entered into the computer for future use. So those two things seem a little fuzzy to me. I just don't know if you guys have a comment or whatever.
If it was just something that happened in-house, and then something that if it might be bullying, and you have 24 hours to...
No, just like his example with the uniform, with the belt. So if he doesn't have a blazer, I write up that he doesn't have a blazer. It's going to sit on Christina's desk for a couple days because maybe, I'm not criticizing you, but you probably have a stack of them and you haven't gotten to them yet and stuff, but yet it needed to be addressed that day.
Goes to administration first. She doesn't get them till
Oh, so the administration reads all of them and then decides what to do. Okay.
And so
That's what I was missing. That's what I didn't understand. What's that?
What I put into the system is what happened, how did the administration deal with it?
I'm sorry. That's my fault.